But hey, I might be a few minutes late for when I goes to see Brian. Heading over to Brian's today, thankfully. Gonna see what he's got on to go. I'm bringing my markers and a salad for my lunch. And I had a cup of lemon water, not coffee. Yesterday, yesterday I had a moment. Actually, it was several moments. But it was very true to something I wasn't used to. I usually loves going out. Going out into the shops, picking up this or that. Or even at the hardest times, I ventured to the regatta just to make sure that I can still do a crowd and focus on what I wanted from the event and moments. So I test myself over the years. I used to have debilitating, and I say debilitating, panic attacks. I say debilitating because I would need assistance of some kind. I would need someone to take me away from everything and sit me somewhere and bring me back from where I was in my mind as I was in a place of high, intense emotions. And it was very fleeting. And it was very much a heartbeat in my ears. I could hear a heartbeat in my ears, so my blood pressure went up. My senses went into panic, and I would go into like a mental relapse of the event, which we had a fire in my home when I was a young lady. I was only 10 years old. And I used to see, I would hallucinate. My body and mind would believe that I would see the image of the gentleman that passed away. And I would have panic attacks of him asking me to save him in the early stages of my life. I would do this quite frequently, and I had a big support system in my life. And it caused a lot of damage that I have been able to repair. I have been able to overcome the confined spaces, the basement situations, the lack of air in a room. I've been able to overcome all of those things and crowds as well. I would have a big fear of crowds would somehow trigger it. So, being at my peak of my mental health, I am aware of what happened. I know what happened. There was an awful lot of people. There was an awful lot of people. There was an awful lot of coffee in my system. I was drinking regular blend your coffee, and I drank about a liter of that. So instead of catching myself and stopping myself, I just took a deep breath and I couldn't breathe anymore. I couldn't let it out. I couldn't let any air in. I held that breath as I looked up, and the crowd, there was probably 1,000 people, maybe more. There was maybe more than 1,000 people. If I had to get a head count yesterday, there was probably 1,000 people. And I turned around from the entranceway, and I said to my niece, I said something, and then she's like, no, I'm looking at socks. And I'm like, and I turned around, and it's like I needed air immediately. So I walked myself away, and I walked to the door, and the door was the entrance. So they weren't letting people out through. And I looked at the lady, and the lady, I don't know how I recognized her, but I recognized her from somewhere. Maybe as a young person, she might have recognized me. But that lady probably saved me from real, true embarrassment because I would probably fell to the ground, or I don't know what would have happened because I was holding my breath. I couldn't breathe out. I couldn't breathe in. My niece didn't know what the fuck happened. My niece was like, "You left me in a crowded fucking grocery store. Fuck you." Pretty much. But she kind of understands. When I explained it to her, and I don't think she understands about having a panic attack as such, but I was so overwhelmed with the amount of people that were just neck to neck to neck to neck. I couldn't move. There was no movement. There was no hip room. I was never ever panicked like that in a situation where there was a crowded store. I don't like them. Don't enjoy the crowds. No, no one does. But to lose, to have that, and the heartbeat, and I was like, I'm not panicking. I'm not panicking. And I stayed very close to the store when the lady looked at me, because the gentleman at the entrance said, "No, she's not getting out through back through. She just came in. She probably robbed something now." And this lady looked at me and said, she said, "No, she's okay. I can assure you she's okay. Just let her go." And she knew by the look on my face that I was in distress, that I was trying to catch my breath, that unusually I have never felt that like in stores lately, especially not just past 10 years. Maybe before that I had a little issue, and I used to not like basements, and I couldn't do like low ceilings, and I couldn't do open stairs. And all of those were triggerments from my traumatic stress. So I thought overcoming all that and facing it all meant it never coming back. But when I give myself the right energy, which is a liter of coffee, which I'm never going to drink coffee no more, not in that quantity. I was floating and jittery as it is. The floating and the jittery made the air here, my heartbeat here in my ear, and it made me panic because it made me felt panicked, like I felt panicked internally. So I'm never doing that amount of coffee again, and I'm very glad that the lady was there at Costco. I think she deserves a raise. I think that lady, I think I should phone in today and explain to them what happened. Because the kindness of that lady, she wasn't supposed to let me out, obviously. It was their job not to let people out through the entrance. But knowing the color of my face, I guess I was white or fucking green, I don't know, but she knew that I needed air. She knew I needed air. I couldn't breathe in, I couldn't breathe out. It was a mess. I wasn't upset. I knew what was happening, and I knew it was a crowd kind of a thing. And I said, "Well, I'm okay with crowds," so I went outside and I caught my breath, and I stood inside in the doorway waiting for my niece to come out to the exit sign, because I said, "I'm here. Can you get my coffee for me?" And then I said, "No, she won't get my coffee," because it was a big, big, big rush at Costco. And I'm like, I don't need the coffee. God is telling me this is not for me because I drank a lot of coffee in the past week. So, coffee contributes to your mental health and stability. I can tell you that. And instability. Because I was off the coffee for almost a year and I came back to it. So, it's going to be just like the cigarettes now. I cannot have another one. It's disgusting. And if I has another one, I'm just going to want another one because it's delicious the way I make it. The way I makes it delicious, and then I puts it all on ice, and then I'm there with the big liter of ice. So, but I'm not here for a good time. I'm not here for a long time. I'm here as a learning experience. I'm here getting things done, even though I'm freaking losing my mind over a bit of coffee. Don't let a bit of beverage chase away your happiness, because it almost had me by the short hairs yesterday. And that's a fact. So, no more beverages are going to have me by the short hair. I gave it all up. I'm going to give it all up again. I'm okay. I realize that that brief moment of loss of sanity, it wasn't even a loss of sanity, because I knew what happened. I understood, I comprehended, and I got out of there before I couldn't fucking breathe no more. So I was still aware of me, and I was aware of what was happening. So my mental health is still on point, people. It's just I don't need that much coffee in my body. Ever. I could have probably faced that crowd with abundance and glory. Instead, I friggin' freaked out and turned around. But that didn't kill me. It made me stronger. It made me understand why I'm here. We all go through things. Some are minor, some are major. This was a major one for me. And heading off for the day, I've got my sketch pad. I've got my pink pencils. I'm going to make a masterpiece happen on paper. You never know. I might just paint that shit. Love you guys. Thanks for being here. Thanks for sticking around. Have a good day.